All right, so it looks like we are just a couple games away from ranking up again. I think it's still the first 20 games that you get the extra like double ranks up. So I think we have 7 more games. So if that works out that way, we go from 5Q to what 3Q and like 3Q to like 1Q. So we may actually end up like basically one done at the end of this. I'm curious if that's how we'll end up. Anyway, I started up my streaming again, and that'll be on Sundays. I just got done doing one. I had some food, but it was kind of fun to start streaming again. So if you are interested in that, definitely check out Sundays in the afternoon, Pacific time usually. I haven't a completely set time. I think it's maybe around 3 p.m. for me. But anyway, let's get into a game and see how this one goes. All right, we already got a game, and we are white. Let me turn this down a little bit. And I am going to be doing a simple opening to start. Oh, I was going to play what they played, but they did it, so I'm going to do something different. So I'm going to do double 4-4. I was going to do 1-3-4, 1-4-4, but I don't want to copy. This could be a good time to sort of show how the Kobayashi works, but I don't like that, so I'm going to approach instead. This is something that I personally prefer to do. When they go to do some sort of Kobayashi variation, I just like to approach and move on with the game. Either attachment is likely fine, but usually you do want to attach here. You do not want to let it go. If I attach on this side, then I feel like it's a little bit hard to do some things. So I think I'll attach on the left for some reason. As I said, I think both of them are probably okay. But in this case, left side feels right. I think what I'm really looking for is that if they do play a move like this and I block and I get to Atari, sort of like capture, I want to be facing my own stones, and this feels a lot better. So that's why I did the attachment on the upper side, but I actually wasn't expecting them to actually play this Joseki, so it ended up working out for me. So they did play an interesting Joseki in the bottom left, and so I do actually wonder if they know the Joseki for this. I could jump and then attach in the corner and then do a pincer and turn it into like a fighting game, but I want to see if they know the Joseki here, so I'm going to play the large knight and see what they decide to do. I have not played this Joseki in maybe a year or two. Really, when you're in this sort of situation, you just need to play whatever it is that you're the most comfortable with. If we end up playing the standard Joseki here, which would be the Hane, they extend and then we bump. Let's see if they do that. Yep, no, I'll bump. So if we're playing the standard Joseki here, then they're getting influence towards a side that's already flat. This is not the standard move, which is kind of interesting to note. Like normally they're supposed to sort of extend or protect this area. Then we get to Hane in the corner. This is really not that different, honestly. So I could still Hane if I want to be safe, but it's always good now to check the cutting point, see if that changes anything. If we cut and they Atari us down and they connect, we can turn and then capture this. If they push, we have to Atari here. And then if they extend, then we can cut because we should have a ladder here. I'm going to actually cut and see what happens. I think this might end up being a way to punish this situation, but I think they can also extend into the corner, which makes it a little bit potentially dangerous for me too. So I just want to see what happens. It's okay if I end up making a mistake, because if I do, then we can work on getting ahead from behind, especially if it's this early on in the game. I don't want to make a big mistake later on in the game, which is why I'm fine with experimenting now. Okay, so they did decide to just answer right away. If I go down here, they cut, I Atari and I jump, they go down, I block, they block here. Do we have enough liberties to really win this? Maybe not, but I think that's probably the best way to go for now. So I'm going to go down as well. They're likely to cut now. And I was thinking that I want to jump down. So Atari, I said, I think the safest play, like I already mentioned, was just playing the move that they played. But as I said, we will see what ends up happening here. So I'm going to connect here. Oh, they're clamping right away. I think just extend down, I guess. We just need liberties on this side to see if we can do anything in the corner. What I'm really paying attention to, though, even though this could end up being a bad result, is I'm trying to pay attention to like making sure this bottom side group is still strong. I think that's really, really important here. Well, for now, we can't push through here necessarily. If I go down, we can, but I think we don't have too many liberties if we go down. But I do think we can get some free moves from this corner. So do I want to Atari or go down for that? Yeah, I think I do want to go down at least one time. Oh, really? Oh, no, I think maybe this was a mistake by them. So I can just push through here. Yep, we can Hane underneath. We can probably just push again. I can probably push a couple times. We'll go back and look at that and how they probably should have played. Because they do have to sort of go back and live in the corner. Because they don't have that many liberties in the corner. And I think we can just cut this. Yeah, we can just cut this one. This is asking for too much from my position. Because they don't have enough liberties in the corner to live. So they're doing too much here. Then we just Atari. And then this is This is a ladder. Yes, they ended up collapsing a little bit. And there's no guarantee that like this ladder would ever work for them. There's not even a stone on that side of the board. I don't even need to read it out. Okay, so they did end up playing again. I think it's actually really good for me to just capture the ladder so I don't ever have to think about any forcing moves, right? Because they could have Atari'd, for example, over here. But after I capture, there's no more Atari, there's no more anything there. But I think they really did just sort of mess up. What do they need to do in order to try to win this game at this point? Because I think it's a little bit too late now. Well, they need to be able to attack me. So if I approach the bottom side from too far, that might be too much. So if I want to like capture these 3 stones, I'd want to be approaching a little bit closer. So because of that, I'm not too interested in this side. I'm just going to take a nice big enclosure for myself, threaten to build the left side of the board instead. I don't want to turn it into a fight at this point. They can sort of play whatever they want here, and I can think about reducing later. I'm extending at this point because they could have gotten an Atari there, which would have made it easier for them to come into the left side. This is sort of like a proper move to play in this Joseki. So I do think I probably have more influence. So I think I will be taking the outside instead of letting them take the outside. Because I do think that this is a very large potential area, and I can probably do some damage to their area over here as well. It's an interesting variation. I guess this is going to be like a carpenter square. So I could Atari and try to do a bunch of Atari things, but then I'm leaving a cutting point. So instead of trying to do that, I'm going to connect my stone and let them figure it out next. Because now I can capture the 1 stone here, and I can still block off the outside. And the outside is what I wanted anyway. So I did decide to live in make it more alive, which is good. Do I need this Atari at all? Does it do anything? I don't need to worry about it for now. Instead, I want to sort of threaten this side a bit. As I said, I wanted to get more influence because I could build a large area, but I could also make it into an attack. But as long as all my groups are really solid like this, I can now come in and do this attack. I could also build some more with like the shoulder hit, for example. But I think now is a good enough time to apply a little bit of pressure because I'm extremely thick on the other side. Like it's an extremely powerful position. So I only have to focus on fixing 1 group. So I can just keep jumping and be fine. And I can even still come down to shoulder hit or even take this side of the board if I wanted to. But I'm just going to keep jumping. I'm just going to jump straight to my area because that's where I need to go. And then I'll come back down and take this side of the board. I actually like the way they're playing. They're just jumping. They're playing very, very simple, except for right now when I currently do have this ladder. So, of course, I'm going to be cutting this stone. This is asking for way too much. But they do need to start a fight. I am extremely strong on both sides, so it's going to be very difficult for them to live with this group. I'm 100% Atariing here. If you can Atari and give them an empty triangle, you always want to do that. Not every time, but basically always want to do that. This also gives me some extra strength with my group. So now my group is fairly strong, and so we just need to worry about surrounding this other one and making my 3 stones stronger. So in order to make them stronger, I'm going to give them more liberties. So I'm going to turn and Hane, because this is what's making it stronger here. I guess I could push here and do something, but technically I'm a little bit weak here, so I'm going to fix this cutting point, and then they can try to live if they want to. We do have these cutting points from earlier that we will have to think about, but we can also give something up if it means we're killing these stones. So if they cut directly, we can Atari, and then maybe even give that up so that their group on the outside is more danger. So if they want to live, exactly, they're going to have to do something like this instead, where they're peeping and not doing as much damage to me. Sure, just stay connected. And I am connected on the other side, so we could be a little bit more aggressive because we are extremely strong here. We don't need to Hane. We could clamp, for example, and we just need to see how much space they have to live. So if we clamp and they connect, you see this is like sort of a 4 eye space, and they can threaten to sort of make it a bulky 5. So like that's the only thing we'd have to worry about. So I think like a safer move could be like not clamping because we're right next to them, but we could pull back if we wanted to. So I'm going to play the safer move where I don't need to play 1 more afterwards. And it's okay if they live. I'm going to play another move here to sort of reduce the eye shape. So we don't necessarily have to kill them. I think probably the safest course of action is to just reduce and then they can live. So if we throw in here, they can play a move, we connect, they do something else, and they can maybe like break into the area and try to be very aggressive. So I'm not going to allow that to happen. I'm just going to let them be alive. They can live with 1 move now, but I'm also protecting my cutting point, making sure that my connection here is much stronger than it was before. So now we just need to just go on to the next sort of area. And I think harassing this group in the center is probably going to be the next idea. Easiest thing to do would be to just sort of build a couple points here. And to do that, I think I kind of just want to attack from above, because he could like turn and make points, but I don't really want him to run towards the center. So I'm going to play a simple move like this one. I'm just connected to my stones. I could probably play further away because I'm very, very thick here, but we're going to be keeping it extremely simple so that we don't need to worry about them counterattacking or doing anything special. What I'm looking for right here is the fact that we can hurt their position quite a lot. Like capturing these 3 stones is bigger than just playing this knight's move. So I'm already somewhat happy with this one. And so we can get this nice diagonal here, threatening to cut through in multiple different ways, threatening to cut through here, and threatening to surround on the bottom. So they were able to protect that. This one still cuts through, so it would make it into a floating group, and we did capture some decent points here. So yeah, let's do this one. As I said, I captured a little bit more than just sliding and letting them live in the center, and they still have to go live in the center. So it ends up being an even better result because they focus more on the center instead of just going and living right away, which they may have had to do. Yep, we can just go down here and connect. I guess we will just capture this and take the liberty away because they do not have enough liberties to do anything here, but they can use it to potentially get some outside moves. So I think it's a good idea anyway, because if they cut now and I go to capture, they can Atari again and maybe even get an eye here. I might be able to play something different though. I think it actually is possible for me to play something different because I'm actually so thick here. I can probably actually Hane. Could also just peep as well. Yeah, I think I can just fix this side. So I will peep. I was going to do the Hane, but I like the peep a little bit more. And so now we can probably just push here instead. But yeah, let's push here, gets rid of this forcing move. I will be going back and capturing. I'm just trying to get rid of the most useful forcing moves that they have. I can just connect here probably. So yeah, I will just connect. They're still able to make eye shape with this. It's a little bit smaller than what they could have had, which is why I'm okay with doing it this way. Because I'm extremely, extremely thick in this position. So I don't even have to worry about like responding to their moves here. We can actually just go ahead and straight up peep and attack the position directly. Maybe just even extend. I don't necessarily have to peep. If I peep, they're going to do a counter peep and it makes it a little bit awkward. So I'm just going to extend because I want Tengen as well. So they have at least one eye here if they protect it. All right. I am 100% happy to get this exchange. That is one eye. That's true. If this over here isn't an eye, then it doesn't matter if you have one eye on the other side. You can have one eye. I'm playing the peep from this direction to fix my potential shape on these stones so that I don't have as many wedge problems. I can get rid of this eye now, or I can get rid of this eye. So it could just be good to make sure everything's fine. Like if they're still running out towards the bottom, I just want to make sure they can't really go anywhere. I think we can just surround it like this, sort of surrounding Incente. And if they decide to come out towards the center, I can surround it more directly instead. Yeah, just extend is good. Yep. Feels nice. They can wedge here, which would be good. And I'm just going to extend. Because if I Atari, there are more bits of Aji, and I have to play this move anyway. If you have to play a move anyway, usually you should just play that move directly. Do I have to worry about the liberties on this group at all? I don't think so. Can they make an eye in the center at all? Maybe towards this direction? I think it's going to be very, very difficult. So I'm not going to worry. And instead of doing anything here, if they do live, I want to actually go to the bigger move area, which would be taking the corner now. I think this would be more useful for me. Probably safer to just do the jump into the corner, but I felt like playing the 3-3. But I did want to point out that just jumping is fine too. Yeah, we can just block here. This is threatening to push and cut. They may be extremely thick in this position. So it's a little bit potentially bad for them. Oh, pushing in now. Okay. The push in here actually helps me be more alive. They do have a potential peep here. They do have some other sort of annoying things, but it looks like my shape is strong enough to not worry about it, and I can just go back and live in the corner. This is the sort of standard living shape here. Yeah, pushing into the corner is actually what makes it more alive, which is kind of funny. If they didn't do that push, I am actually not as alive. I would need to spend more time to live. I can still live, but I would need to spend more time doing it. I will just get this nice, beautiful, empty triangle. Yep, and they do have to live here, so I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to make sure all my groups are strong. make sure I don't have any problems, and just let them try to live locally. It will be very difficult, so I'm going to just turn here. This is threatening to cut off the groups, so they do have to respond. And I'm going to push here. It's also threatening to cut off the group. And then I will go back and make sure I don't have any Aji at all. If I have no Aji, then I feel good. They might be able to live, by the way. Yeah, they might be able to live because of this sort of move. So I will just defend, because this move is what is needed to kill my corner. And so now that they're alive, I made sure my group was defended and safe. So now I don't need to worry about my shape at all over here. And we can just go back to playing sort of big moves everywhere. Then we just play like this diagonal move here. This stone, it doesn't really matter if it's captured. So I'm going to Atari here first, because being able to capture that and then get this Atari would be very, very devastating. And then I'll get the Hane and connect. Okay, so they are going to try and live here now. So I will turn to make sure that my group is 100% connected. I don't have to ever worry about liberty issues with this group. That is the thing I really don't want to worry about. That is a nice move here. So I will just connect, make sure I don't have to worry about the push and Atari. And then we can just poke directly at their eye space because we don't have any weakness because of that capture from earlier in the game. I think if they played the other direction, that was probably the better idea to try to live. It was still difficult, but it was a better idea because they could have tried to make the other eye in this area, which is wider, whereas they couldn't do anything in the other side of that. I think they actually might be able to live, by the way. Yeah, if they play that sort of move. We can just connect back here, and then they go underneath to live. We can block too, but I'm going to work on the point aspect and go from this side so they can live there like that. So I actually got to let them live everywhere, which is kind of funny. And so now we'll just go back and play the big moves. Like I said, these big moves are the things that are more important to play. That's why I didn't want to go back and say that this middle group was dead. Because if they did find a way to live and I waste a bunch of moves in the center, it's not very helpful. This Hane is just really nice because they did ignore my Hane there. And then we can go back to this other big move over here, which is sort of like a monkey jumpy type thing. There is a bit of Aji in their corner here that they need to be a little bit worried about. Is there anything I need to do first to make sure that it's good? I don't think I need to worry too much. So I think we can attach here. Then we can do this move right here. We're starting to capture these stones. Now we just have to push in, and now it's a ko. So in this case, this corner could die because they still have a lot of Aji everywhere. Okay, I'll just answer that. And we can just play these moves that I didn't play that threaten to capture the group in the center. There we go. And now they need to have a really big ko threat somewhere. That one's good enough, sure. And then I can just play here as another ko threat. This is also a move that gets me a point because they could have Hane'd there. Yep, I will just capture. Now there's no more ko threats for this group, but there is still one more here. Oh, wait, no, that's not a ko threat. They can live. That was my bad. I have a shortage of liberties, so it's no good. So we'll just move on then. I could have taken the bottom right corner as my next ko threat, probably. Yeah, let's just take the points here in the center. This is looking pretty big here. Connecting, they still have this Atari. If I capture, they still get rid of this. So I guess it doesn't matter if I connect or not, but I'll connect. I don't know why they did that. That doesn't do anything. That maybe gets them a point. Their group's alive, right? So I don't need to worry about it. That means we just need to play another big move somewhere. Capturing these stones could be big, but I think I end up losing something here. So I think I want to fix up this area, like clean up this spot here. Okay, we can just block. This is getting them 2 points for now, but if I get the Atari, it ends up only being 1 point. That's why I wasn't sure if it was that big, because it was like technically 2 moves for 1 point, but I can still get rid of one of the points. It's hard to say how big that actually was. I will need another move here later. I think we can just do this. Is there anything special here? Nope, nothing special here. I do probably just want to connect. As I said, capturing the 2 stones was big, but they'd be able to push through into my area and threaten to capture my stones. So it's hard to say how useful it was. We'll turn here because this actually gives us a point, whereas we didn't necessarily have one there at first. So this looks okay. The biggest moves are the ones on the left side right now. Like just playing this one's really big. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I can go back and connect. Things over here are not really too big at this point. So I guess this is 4 points here, but I think this is about the same. We just, do I want to capture or just connect. I think if he wins the co, I have to capture anyway. So let's capture then. Seems like the smarter choice of the two. We'll answer that. I guess we can go for these 4 points in the center just for fun now. I think a lot of this is just a couple points at this stage, so I might as well get this Atari in, because why not? If I get to capture, it's worth a decent amount. Now just the Hanes in this move here. I guess I'll just Hane in the corner. And it's at least a point, basically, because so why not? That was 1 point with a follow-up of another 1 point. So I guess it should be similar to me playing the other Hane, right? Someone that's good at endgame will have to tell me. Yep, I will connect. And we're almost done here. Just a couple more moves. Hit this turn on the bottom, then he can connect in the center, and then we're pretty close to done at that point. I will need one more move here, I think. I could connect my area. I think it's Atari me in the center. What they're gonna go for the ko shape. Oh, okay, they're just doing that one. All right. I do actually really want this move because this is Sente, and I do have enough liberties for this for now. So I will get this move now, and then I will go back and connect my area. Okay. And then this is also an Atari. Yep, we can just capture back. And then they died at the end still. That's a little bit sad because they did a really good job of going and finding those Tessigi to live in with all their groups. Feels a little bit bad for them to die at the end here. But now I don't even have to play that move on the inside anymore. Yeah, it's a little bit sad. Let's look at the score before they died here. We'll go back one more move here. And if we use this score estimate here, hopefully it works. There we go. It's still saying that part of it's dead. It's saying that with this dead, I'm ahead by 80 points. This probably doesn't have to die, but I am still at least ahead, like maybe 50 points. Because even though I let them live everywhere and I didn't go all out trying to kill, I thought that something was probably dead, but it didn't matter if it was dead. So I sort of let it happen. They only really got the bottom group here as like their largest source of territory. So in the end, it didn't matter because all their groups were on the verge of dying. That means they only ever had 1 or 2 points in order to live. And that means you can't just win the game with 1 or 2 points. So the goal here for the opening was to potentially get a little bit behind if this was a mistake. And then if it wasn't a mistake, then we learned a new punishment. I think this is a mistake, but I would probably have to look at AI in order to find out for sure. But my feeling was that at this point, they didn't have to go back into the corner. They had to keep taking my liberties on my other group. So if they throw in here, I have to capture. So they can play here to protect the outside. I play here and here and here, and they capture. So the goal for me was that my group is actually still getting some points. So I'm happy enough with that. And I might even be able to get a free move before this all happens. So like they throw in, so like if they throw in first and they take this one away, I can probably get this push in here for free. They have to respond, and then I can go back and get these moves in. And so my group is actually very strong. I can probably play on the bottom side, and the game is actually not over because I didn't collapse everywhere. I just lost part of my group, and we can still try to come back from behind. It didn't work out though. However, the proper move, like I mentioned in the game, is likely still just this Hane. So normally what they do is that this move, and then you can push through, and there's this AI Joseki here. But the old Joseki was also just playing this move, and then you could protect in the corner. It has been quite a few years since I played this Joseki. Yeah, so I was going to have this sort of as a learning opportunity for me, and then also for you, but this was where he went too far. When he allowed me to turn here, this was already too good for me. Because when he extends and does this, when I cut, like if I cut on this side, he can throw in and try to do something here, but it just doesn't have enough liberties to kill the group. So I think that's the side I would probably want to cut. But then, yeah, they just give that up. We're alive. And then they have to go back and live in the corner. And then we can get, well, I'm not going to do that. We can just get some free move over here and play like an extension. And that was a bad result for them because they messed up the reading there. So yeah, that was already too much. And then this Hane, they have to just keep extending. And I do only need a couple liberties to kill the corner because the corner is actually pretty small in this case. So like we're connecting underneath there, so they don't really want to do that. And then they do this one. It's just already dead basically. It's too much. I might even be able to do it earlier, huh? I guess that's possible. Yeah, already able to kill it. But I figured pushing one more time is good for my shape because if they Hane, they're dead everywhere, as you saw in the game. So I was a little bit sad. I think the rest of the game is probably not too important. Like I don't need to go over anything extra there. Like there's ways I could maybe kill the groups in the center or do something extra, but I think the most important part was this bottom right corner. I make a mistake and they almost actually killed me with that mistake that I made. But because they messed up, they didn't quite do their liberty reading right, I end up very far ahead. This is actually why fighting is very difficult in games. One mistake leads you to sort of collapse. So I do want to highlight that this was a mistake on my part, not my opponent. Like the first part was my mistake. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy this game. I hope you guys are having a good day and have fun.